I am John Larsen, and I am full of sap and evergreen.
Hello, and welcome to the Redirect Podcast, where we have spirited conversations and tell stories about finding purpose in retirement. For us, retirement isn't an ending, it's a beginning. Time to redirect your energy, wisdom, and passion toward new horizons. Whether you've recently retired, are planning for that transition, or are years into this journey, this podcast is your companion in navigating this meaningful chapter of life. Adam and Curt, here we are back at it again, recording another episode of our Redirect Podcast. You know, before we start a conversation with John Larsen today, I am curious in hearing your thoughts and maybe experiences concerning how you can be better utilized or engaged within an organization that has a wide age range. Curt, I'm going to start with you.
That's a great question, Dale. And my thoughts to this is that I think we all have something to share regardless of our age. Number one. Okay. Number two is I think that we need to be purposeful in connecting with those older as well as younger for various reasons. We can always learn from anybody. Number one, everybody has a story to tell, which is evident here on the Redirect Podcast, but also those that have more experiences and things I want to learn from. I also want to learn where younger people are so that I can understand the culture, the times, what they're going through, and then potentially create application opportunities that can create a better relationship between me and another generation.
Adam, how about you?
My position right now in this period of time, I really think because I'm a Gen Xer, I'm not in the boomer, I'm not in the millennial or under category. I embrace the notion of being a bridge builder. I like the idea of connecting across generations. We've got some conversations on the schedule coming up about all of that. So the idea of getting people who wouldn't natively or organically find themselves in community with each other, seeking and looking for opportunities to connect between hypothetically a millennial and a boomer is exciting to me. And if I can help bridge that gap, I think additionally, and I want to look up who said it. It just popped into my head. Seek to understand rather than be understood. I think if you look at life with more curiosity and humility, like, hey, what can I learn from this 35-year-old versus what do I have to teach this 35-year-old, I think is much better engagement across all demographics. So I think looking to understand them better. Additionally, if I'm bridge building, I love the idea of trying to be encouraging people that are 65 and up to, hey, keep going. You have more to offer. You still have value. You can find meaning. And encouraging somebody who's 35 and tell them, hey, you have value. Life isn't just about survival. You matter and you have things to teach me. And so I think it's such an encouraging way to look at it for people. And I don't get enough opportunity in my life to do that.
The book you reference, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People.
Is that what that is? Is that where that comes from?
That's where it came from.
Okay,
yeah,
thanks.
Big book out of the 80s. Still extremely, extremely relevant to us. So, and my response is I had the blessing of being part of a young, very creative agency and lots of young people that knew technology, knew AI, many of our clients were technology companies like Microsoft or Cisco, and you just needed to be on top of that. I leaned heavily on the younger generation to teach me, and I had to listen. I had to learn because I had to be relevant when I was talking to clients. Right. And I knew it was kind of a survival mechanism, but at the same time, I led a company for 20, 30 years. And so many of the business relationships, the lessons learned from experience was something I got to bring to the party on how to be a company of integrity. They loved the stories I could tell about, when we were doing business in the Middle East. So that give and take was such a blessing because they really valued the experience and hearing, and just so much more than I ever realized. at the same time, I only knew I could be successful if I listened and learned from them, because I need to have conversations where I sounded somewhat intelligent about technology.
So speaking of great stories, why don't I introduce everyone to our guest today? Today's friend of the Redirect podcast is John Larsen. John was ordained as an elder in the United Methodist Church in 1979. He served 2 charges, one in Athens, Ohio for 4 years and another in Cincinnati for 36 years. John was influenced by the Jesus Revolution movie as a positive kind of rebel. John never dreamed of being a pastor. He just wanted to do, quote, Jesus stuff. But pastoring seemed to be the quickest route in. John has been an innovator and instigator of the less than traditional approach to Christianity. John met constant resistance by traditionalists in his district, but that didn't stop the innovations that led to results in church growth. John has an engineering background, and so creating inexpensive and highly technical challenges came easily. John loves helping people understand the Bible, and you can find his daily Bible commentary in the Crossroads Anywhere app. His newest project, Evergreen, is an innovative approach to reaching and empowering people 55 and over. John, welcome to the Redirect podcast.
Thank you.
In the bio, we talked about your love for the Jesus Revolution movie, which it's a book by Greg Laurie, correct? And it came out. It's about something that happened in the 60s, and I think the movie about it with Kelsey Grammer,
and Jonathan Rumi from The Chosen.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it was. Yeah, he was a follower of Jesus as opposed to being Jesus at that time. And that came out in 2023. So tell me how that movie impacted you.
Well, actually, it was the book that really set because Greg was living at the age. This is, all this stuff is happening in my time. And a lot of that was going on with this was a new thing, by the way, in the church. I mean, young people coming alive and wanting to be part of a Jesus movement. They didn't want to be part of church necessarily in terms of the institutional thing, but they absolutely loved the idea of there being a superior power that could get them out of this Vietnam War and lying government and all that other stuff going on. And the book is really great at describing those times and all the difficulties and then bringing in kind of this supernatural revival that was taking place, because what was happening, and that was in California, Costa Mesa, what was happening there was actually happening all over the United States. I'm not sure. It eventually spread into different parts of the world, but the bottom line is a lot of what they were experiencing and the frustrations and the questions and the feelings about, there's got to be something better than this. And it's got to be the Lord. How do you get there? How do you understand that? That's what was going on in my life. I just didn't know that movement was going on. Then to read about it and to realize I was part of a movement and I didn't even know it. It was really, really cool. So I bought that book for all my children to say, if you want to understand me, read this book.
That's cool.
So in better understanding you, take me back into kind of the high school. You and I are of the same age group. I remember the whole kind of Jesus freak revolution. That's what they called him back then. But your interest in Jesus was before college. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, well, I'm a sailor, and I am convinced that sailors, especially the old time sailors, you can't go out on a big open ocean where there's no land for months at a time and not believe in God. Somebody made this. It is so huge, and you feel so insignificant that I think there's a real spirituality there. It doesn't necessarily mean that they're Christian. But there is a God sense. And I grew up on the lake. I grew up on Lake Erie, which is sort of an inland ocean, to be honest. And we would be out there and there'd be no land that you could see. And I just always had this feeling that there was something more. We attended a church. We went to a Methodist church. It was a very bad Methodist church. That was about money and position and power and
politics.
Oh, well, and there were bad men. Our pastors were not good men. They did bad things, and they got away with it because it was a powerful place to be. And yet that didn't deter my feeling about Jesus. I just knew there was something out there. I just didn't. Actually, I was convinced that in a typical Methodist church, there's the altar up front of the church, and then there's the big curtain behind it. And I was convinced that Jesus was in a coffin behind that curtain. That was my religious upbringing.
It's very graphic.
We got Jesus. But the thirst and the hunger to understand this was enormous. And it was basically what was going on all over the United States. There was a hunger and thirst in a lot of kids. And again, maybe birthed out of frustration. Mine was simply birthed out of curiosity. It was just literally sailing brought me to Jesus. So I like sailing. And I went on a search to try and figure all this Jesus stuff out. And I interviewed people. I mean, my girlfriend set me up with people that had known faith experiences. There was a friend of hers, a husband who had cancer, and he was dying, and he was not worried about it because of his faith in Jesus. So I interviewed him, trying to figure out, well, how does that work? How are you comfortable? Yeah. The picture was not, in my search, it wasn't really clear to me until I finally got to college. And while I'm not real clear on Christianity or all of that, I consider myself a Christian. I led Christian activities. I was the vice president of the youth council for the entire Cleveland area. And I thought Jesus was buried behind our curtain. So that's not a good
activity
thing.
Doesn't mean qualification.
Not at all. So I get into this college group and InterVarsity Christian Fellowship was at Ohio University. Which had been just voted. Yeah. It had been just voted by Playboy magazine as the #1 party school in America.
Yeah. Yep.
That's where I spiritually grew up.
Okay.
Yeah. So you don't want to look at my qualifications, but in this group where we were sitting around and a couple of the guys, I don't know how it led to the discussion, but I remember telling them, out of nowhere, I just said, well, I know I'm going to go to hell, but I'm still going to follow Jesus. And they were like, what? And I said, well, because I'm imperfect and God isn't. You can put oil and water together and you can mix it up, but they will separate. Mm-hmm. I'm okay with that. I'm okay for whatever brief amount of time I'm there. I'm okay with my destiny. I'm still going to serve him because he's the one. He's it. He's what it's all about. And these two guys in particular, both of them still friends, but they said, John, what do you think you're going to, so I explained that, and they said, did you accept Jesus as your Lord and Savior? And that's a whole nother story for another day. But I do remember doing that specifically at a membership, thing at 7th grade confirmation class. I remember doing that. And I said, oh yeah. And he said, well, that was, if he's your Lord and Savior, that forgiveness is forever.
Yeah.
It's all past, present, and future. And I went, okay. And then I was on. I was on board. I was down.
The last piece of the puzzle.
That was the last piece. And they did disciple me. They had, they set me up with, the guy who was, the paid, InterVarsity representative. And he sat down with me for 6 weeks and gave me some Christian basics, which was really, really cool. In fact, I was so excited by that. I went and helped a youth retreat back at my home church. And I literally, one day there was a lull in the storm and there's like 18 kids on this retreat. And I said, I just learned something that's kind of cool. And out of memory, out of looking at it once, I blurted out the whole way that you can get, find Jesus and get saved. And I described the whole thing and all the scriptures were coming out. Believe me, this is, when Jesus said the Holy Spirit will give you the words, that's for sure. Cause I don't memorize scripture. I still don't. I struggle with it. And yet everything came out. I put it on the board, set it all up. And then I said, is this resonate with anybody? Does anybody feel that they need to make a commitment to Jesus right now? All of them did.
There you go. There you go.
So I would continue. Here I am in my 70s, and I'm going to tell you that while I learned a lot then and was able to do a lot then, I'm still learning. And I'm still learning not just from older people, but I'm also learning, as you guys have said, from younger people, which is really unique. It's amazing what can happen in your life if you stay open. Because you know what the problem with the dinosaurs was? They didn't learn to adapt.
Right.
You got to adapt to the new conditions and the new things and the new culture, and it's always changing. Otherwise, you're going to never figure out how to turn that TV on.
Yeah. So the Redirect podcast is obviously talking about redirections in our life. So you just went through a huge redirection in your life, and that's your love for Christ, right?
Right.
And that's fantastic. Now, I'd like to sort of get a little bit of a view from you of, you were a pastor for 40 years.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you weren't.
Yeah.
How did you handle that redirection?
We were having fun. We had fights, although I was always fighting somebody at the district level. The church and I got along great, but the leadership was always looking at, because we were bringing in cameras and putting up screens and we were the first to ever have a computer. In fact, I think we had a computer about 10 years before anybody in the city put a computer in the church. Oh. We were way ahead of the game. And all that kind of stuff raised a lot of, what are you doing? And why are you doing that? And couldn't you feed the poor with that money and all that kind of stuff?
From the congregation or from the leadership?
No, from the leadership.
Leadership.
I got rid of the wooden pews and put in cushioned seats with lower lumbar support.
Obviously, you're the devil.
Yeah. And there were people going, what are you doing? And I'm going, I want you to be comfortable.
You're supposed to hurt.
Literally people have said that. That's so funny.
It was that guilt thing.
They like the guilt thing.
That's right.
I don't like the guilt thing. I got enough guilt on my own.
Yeah, it's not living in freedom there.
Yeah, so we got along, and then but it was always a fight. And then at the very end, I am in my 39th year, my 40th year. That's when retirement is. The whole package is yours, and you can go off on it. And I had been looking at, what am I going to do anyway? I was hitting at 60 years old. I was thinking, what's
pre-retirement planning?
No, it wasn't really about pre-retirement planning. It was about, I'm always going to be a Christian. You can call me a pastor. I've got the titles. I've got the degrees. But the bottom line is, I have just simply been a Christian, and I still am just simply a Christian. I'm a Jesus follower, period. So as a Jesus follower, what am I going to do now? And will retirement change that? No, not at all. But how I do my walk with Jesus, that is going to change. So what do I want that to look like? And the church that I was at was not heading down the path that I had hoped it would go down. It was taken forever. Just so much resistance. We, again, from outside sources largely. And I'm all of a sudden realized as well that towards the end, I was starting to forget things. I was always able to juggle like 15 plates at a time, and that was fun. I enjoyed doing that, having all this stuff going and being successful at it. And all of a sudden, I was down to 3 plates. And like an idiot, I went to actually the leadership council and told them, you may want to consider getting a new pastor someday.
We just happen to have that.
We got this envelope we have to have you look at.
I thought honesty was the best policy. It's not. So and it wasn't them that did this, but it was the district that came through, and they had been always threatening me every year. Yeah. You have an annual review, and every single year you sit down with the boss. I'm a go-getter, and I really don't mind confrontation, but that was the only time I ever got nervous about anything, sitting down with him. Yeah. And every single meeting, and these guys trade their job out every 6 years. There's always a new one coming in. and I was at this church for 36 years, so I went through a bunch of them.
Yeah.
And every one of them would every single time say, that we could move you anytime we want. And I would simply say, yes, sir. Because I understood when I got ordained, I understand that's how it goes. Yeah. So in my 39th year, they came and said, we're moving you. And I'm so established. My wife's she's the director of a preschool, a very successful preschool. My kids, they've all moved within 15 minutes of me. I now own my own house, which, by the way, Methodist pastors back in the early day, you did not do that. I went ahead and bought one. And I got a call from the boss, the district superintendent, going, "I heard you bought a home." And it was like, yes. And another friend actually said, another pastor friend down the road was thinking about doing that. He said, "How did you do that?" I went to the bishop and he told me I couldn't. And he said, "How did you get it past the bishop?" And I said,
I didn't ask.
Ask the bishop. It was none of his business.
His signature wasn't on my mortgage application.
Yeah. I mean, if I thought that was a possibility, maybe I'd ask, but no. So everything was here, and they let me stay at the church if I went half time in terms of pay. And I just went for it. And the church and they were happy to have me, live it out. And that gave everybody a little more time to kind of think through the things. But it was a kick in the butt because, again, keep in mind, I know that I'm losing my skills and I don't have the wherewithal to do what I thought. I mean, I thought I was going to be 25 years old forever.
Yeah.
And right now, honestly, I'm at the mental age of about 16 anyway. So that's a bad combo. And my brain it's a 71-year-old brain, and I can't keep track of.
I gotcha.
Stuff. And so it was a shock. It was hurtful. The family was upset at the time, and it was the best thing that could have ever happened.
You're a guy, I think, that just moves forward.
Yeah. We hear about how to adapt and evolve.
Yeah. You don't stop. Don't stop.
Yeah.
What's next? Until you die, what's next?
So you referenced, I think at one point you said you're a driver. What is a driver and why is that important?
It's not like I have a philosophy or anything that's guiding me there. I just have
just personality.
That's me. That's just what I've always done. I've always kind of been that way. Always been on the inventive side, always looking for solutions, always trying to be helpful. When Jesus said, you want to be great, be a servant, I wasn't interested in being great. I love being a servant. But having someone pat you on the back and go, oh, you're great. That was pretty cool too. And I don't mind that at all. I have an ego. My family will tell you about, they know all about that. But I think everybody should be moving forward. I think everybody should be driving to the next thing. Why else are you here? I mean, you're going to have, when you get to heaven, it's going to be, actually, it's not going to be what people think. I mean, it's not like
I have no clue.
Yeah, I don't either. I mean, the Bible's not exactly clear on it, but if you really think through all of the pieces that the Bible presents of who God is, it's not going to be playing, stringed instruments and being bored to tears on the clouds. You're going to be working your tail off because the joy is in being who you are and using who you are and using those gifts. Now, my gifts are diminished, but by no means am I not using my diminished skills. I am still using everything that I've got until I can't use them anymore. And I don't know what it is that's going to stop me outside of death or some weird kind of thing, or maybe really, really bad knees. But until that happens, I'm still a Jesus follower. I intend to make a difference, and I think everybody else could. So when we started Evergreen, that's a whole nother story. But when we started Evergreen,
that's the story.
That is.
Yeah. Well, let's get into it.
Right into it now.
Let's just jump right into it.
Well, so I go to Crossroads, and Crossroads isn't exactly known for its elderly ministry.
Yet.
We had just started attending Crossroads after retirement. I had actually scouted out Crossroads before I ever got there. I like to be aware of all the churches in their area because, we're one in Christ.
Yeah.
So I just thought, we need to be brothers, and I want you to know I'm your brother. So I checked it out and I went, oh my gosh, this is what I was trying to build. This is what it would have looked like had everybody said, okay.
Yeah.
And and my kids were already going there. So it was just a natural thing for me to go. Now I'm trying to think, well, so where do I plug in? And they had a senior connections ministry in the church that had just been started by Tom and Jackie. And it was only a year and a half old, maybe at the time. And they started this on their own because there wasn't anything across.
Good for them.
Right.
Yeah.
Good for them.
And they didn't ask for any help. They didn't say, give us a staff person. You need to do this. To be honest, as a pastor, whenever somebody had a great idea and came up to me at church, I'd go, that's awesome. When are you going to get started?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that wasn't what they wanted. They wanted me to do it for them. And Crossroads has that kind of thing going on.
They do.
But Tom and Jackie had that personality anyway, and they were drivers. So they got this thing going. But, and I immediately connected with them. I went, okay, well, there's a seniors meet in the afternoon for Bible study that I'm in. I want to make some sort of connection, get involved in some sort of group activity. And immediately they pulled me into they saw the leadership potential and sucked me into that. And as I got to know them and become a little more involved in leadership, Tom was wanting to try and reach more of the seniors in the church. We got a lot of seniors in the church.
Yeah.
But the most that we've ever had in a single gathering of all sites was for our getaway. It's the camp experience. Camp, which includes, air-conditioned room and
cable TV.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah. Cafeteria food. Yeah. It's
Primitive camping.
It's not the typical Crossroads camp. But it was expensive. And Tom was trying to figure a way to get more seniors involved without the expense. And he was conjuring up maybe a simulcast thing. And I did that at my church. I did simulcasts. And I loved them. They were great. And again, it's technology. I love that stuff.
Yeah.
So, he brought me on board and I started researching that. And at the same time, I was wanting to make sure that I was in alignment with the goals of Senior Connection.
Yeah.
So as I'm reading all their stuff, I'm going, it's not.
We're not exactly aligned.
Exactly aligned. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I had to go back to Tom and I said, I can do this and I can make this happen, but I'm changing the direction and I need you to know that. I need that to be okay with you. And Tom went, okay. And a month later he died.
Wow.
Now it's all on.
Coincidental, guys. Coincidental.
No,
We're not
I didn't do that. I didn't do that. That was not, it was not right. It was, in fact, it was really not cool because he had so many skills that would have been great for helping get this thing going. And I didn't have the ins and I'm a nobody and, just that nobody knew who I was. And it was not having him around was actually not a great thing, but it did open some doors and it gave me a lot more free reign on what to do. And because I'm kind of popular in the Bible app, a lot of people already, a lot in the leadership.
Yeah.
Already knew of me. They like my stuff. So it wasn't like they were afraid of what I was going to do next. Cause I say every day, I'm on there every day. So I had a pretty big open door to go in. And what we did that was different was the Senior Connection was really sort of it was as they put it, as Tom put it, it's made by seniors for seniors.
Yeah.
And they cap the age at 60 up. Because they want seniors, 60 years old, with the same experiences to get together in the room and just socially have fun.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of the sites do this. They play cards. They do the bingo stuff. They don't do bingo, but it's not what I wanted to do. I want to
Yeah, but there's some people that might be a motivation for them to get out of their house, to get away from being lonely.
That's got its place.
It does have its place.
It's a good thing.
But it doesn't turn your prop. We will rejoin our conversation in just a moment. Thank you for listening to the Redirect Podcast. We appreciate your support. Do you love what you're hearing? Don't keep it to yourself. Follow the Redirect Podcast on Apple Podcasts and Spotify and never miss an episode that inspires your next chapter in life's journey. While you're there, hit a 5-star rating, leave a review, and share your favorite episode with a friend who's ready for their own life pivot. And don't forget to join the conversation on Instagram at The Redirect Podcast. Comment, tag us, and let us know how you are redirecting your journey. Now let's get back to today's conversation.
I'm still in leadership in Senior Connection, but I know that there's other guys out there, other guys and gals that think they've got more juice in the tank and they want to do something in their church and they want to be connected with it. They want to bless it and they want to grow from it. Right. So we start this thing and nobody knew if it was going to do any good or, but I went ahead and asked for a room for 400 people. Now, keep in mind, we've never had more than 150, but I asked for a room for 400 people.
Love it.
And we filled it.
Build it and they will come.
So let's take a second. I think we saw the contrast of what Senior Connections is, but I don't think we got to what Evergreen is.
Right. Good point. Good catch. Evergreen is, it's based on the scripture. Psalms 92 verse 14. And it says, Curt, read it.
It says, they will bear fruit in old age. They are ever full of sap and green.
Oh, I heard that phrase before.
Yeah. So did we.
I don't.
Kind of sticky. It sticks with you.
Yeah, right.
Oh, that was good. So if you're always growing, I mean, the only things that don't grow are either dead or plastic, which, by the way, describes a lot of current church members. So if there's growth and there's change, there's something positive moving, usually fruit. And I didn't see that fruit happening in that age category. And that's what I'm interested in. I like to see fruit. I like to see us doing, and which is a real crossroadish thing. We like stuff to happen. We like activity. We like growth. So there's all these opportunities. And yet I didn't see that happening in the senior camp. So Evergreen was designed to first find out who you are, who God made you to be, discover the value, as you say. And I thought it was great in the opening earlier. That's to find the value in you. You actually still, even at this age, even if you're 85 years old, even if you're heading up into your hundreds, there's still value in you. If you're able to move and think and talk, there's still value in you. It may not be the same that it was in your 40s, but it's still there. You have something. And I've never had more fun than when I've been doing it, in the game, playing the game. I'm not one for sitting in the stands. That's okay. But to be on the field, to feel that ball in your hands and just run with it. And even with the successes and the failures, you're playing the game. And that's where I want to be. And that's apparently where a lot of other folks my age and up are as well. The first thing we did at the very first Evergreen conference or event was introduce them to the mission. What's the mission? Why are we here?
The Seven Hills.
And the Seven Hills
was brilliant, by the way. I think that was, I thought it was a great platform to start the group.
Yeah, I was firmly convinced that most of the seniors in our church don't even know what those Seven Hills are. And consequently, because they're not familiar with the Seven Hills, that led to a lot of their own personal frustration with why is the church doing this and why doesn't it do that?
If you're curious about the Seven Hills, you can find them at crossroads.net/7 hills. There are things like authenticity, biblical truth, culturally current communication, excellence, all of that stuff.
And there's a great parallel because we established, and I remember being around at Crossroads, the 7 hills that we die on because the church was growing very quickly, and we knew we had to codify what makes a successful church, what makes a successful congregation, what helps people to continue to grow. And that was a brilliant move way back in year 3, 4, or 5 of Crossroads, when all of a sudden the growth was happening fast and there was this chill of, we can't forget who we are. Going back to the person, we all have these gifts. We all have what makes us who we are. Go forward.
Let me take you back a little bit to your pastor days. All right. Now, your congregation at the time what was their demographic?
When I first arrived, there was, this was a United Methodist Church. We just didn't tell anybody that. Later we changed the name, but it was a stereotypical small United Methodist Church with the average age of 65. There were 30 people in that church.
Okay. So you've always sort of been involved with the older population.
Not by want,
yeah. Because when you're bringing up the situation with a particular church like Crossroads, they want the younger families. I don't think it's purposeful. But I think it's a situation is that, okay, they're here. They're the older churchgoer is here. They're present.
Unintentionally leaving them behind.
They're a mentor.
Yeah.
They're an aspect that will be there to support the church because they have the time to do so, but they're not really that glue, but they should be. And that's what I think what you're talking about with Evergreens. But I'd like for you to sort of talk about what are you trying to get out of each individual there to really bite into the Evergreen concept?
When I sold this to the church leadership, I know that in most churches, it's kind of like, what do we do with the old people? And normally the response of the congregants is, well, hire staff and let them take care of us. And I'm 71. I don't need anybody to take care of me. I need to take care of you. I need to do stuff with who I am. I don't need that. At some point, maybe that will happen.
Right.
But right now, I don't need your help. In fact, what I told them was, let me have this. Because what you're trying to do, and they had researched it, actually, Chuck Mingo and Kelly Ashew have what's called a belonging project. They actually researched out some of the more difficult areas in the church. And one of them was older people. And they were realizing, they need more space. And I told Chuck directly, don't focus on us as just give me this thing. And I'm going to get them to discover who they are in Christ. And that is what's going to motivate them to bless this church and to bless each other and to make things grow. Just let me have this.
Yeah.
Leave us alone. And which was kind of arrogant and stupid. He smiled, but also happy because it was like, it's not, I don't know how many churches do this. In fact, when I went to try and research for ideas, I couldn't find any. This is not what people do.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
But why? We're still part of the body of Christ. Age shouldn't have anything to do with anything. I am 16 years old in my head. And I don't know does it matter how old my knees are? The only place that any of that matters is as you get older, you have more experiences. And the more experiences you have, the more ability you have to speak to other people's experiences. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't matter whether you've been successful or a failure. All of those things are learning experiences. So I could speak to a 25-year-old who's just got booted out of class and his girlfriend dumped him and their parents stopped, making payments. And they're just like, oh, my life is all over. I can go, let me tell you about life is over,
Yeah. You can be an encourager. You can be an encourager.
Right. Yeah. Again, with all that life experience,
yes,
with all that experience, with much is given, much is expected, and I feel that.
But also, I can gain from them. If I invest into their healing and they get healed, they're going to bless me. Somehow I'm going to learn something or get something, or I'm going to hear something that inspires me. It will be a mutual relationship because the body of Christ is not, this half is 20s and up and that half is the 90s and below. Mm-hmm. It's just one body. Evergreen is trying to get that gap closed.
Yeah. My reaction to the event when I was there, and by the way, thanks for inviting Dale and I to be a part of it. That was
you
fun.
You guys are great.
And we're looking forward to helping in the future if you want us to be there. But,
absolutely.
But what I took from that was, as you said, you had a filled room, 400 people, which was just amazing. There were some people there that they didn't have anything to do that day and they showed up. There were some people that showed up that left work because they wanted to learn about what's going on in later time of their life. And they didn't realize it was going to be an all day deal. They were like, can I just come for an hour? So that was good. And then there were people there that were sitting there and you saw their eyes open and like, why not? And what I also appreciated out of it is that you had a lot of integration from the Crossroads family.
Yes.
And they were all younger.
Yes.
And I think what was really cool is that as they were talking to the attendees of that meeting, they were also opening their eyes to say, oh, wow, look how many people showed up and we didn't really promote this as much as we could have. So with it, that's my take. Dale, what were some of your call-outs?
I think I saw a lot of people. They came up and said they loved something that I got from you. Don't let age be your cage. They realized I can continue to grow. I can still grow. Literally, evergreen's a great word for it. But I just saw in them the realization that I have value.
Yeah.
I matter. And we're part of one tree. I look out in my garden. The biggest, best tree I have in the garden is the oldest tree. And that tree is giving more shade, in my garden than anything else in that garden. And I saw that in the body of the people in the congregation that showed up, the 400. I felt we're all part of this really big, solid oak tree that exists, that God set so many stories up around.
And it's not just providing shade. It's providing protection. It's providing an environment for things to grow within the tree, such as birds and the life. We can go on with that story forever.
Pull the vine out and we can go far with that, but go ahead.
It's life-giving. And the two promises that I've made are, if you get this, two things will happen. One, you will live longer and you will die happier. And it's money back guarantee.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
But it's true, because once you discover who you are and discover you're part of this, and we got notes back. I got the response back from this was overwhelming. Almost half of the people that went filled in a review on this.
Wow.
You don't know how big that is.
That's huge.
It's usually 10%.
Yeah. 10% would be a lot.
And they were all positive. And I even asked for difficult stuff. I asked for, what's your criticisms? And when I let AI review it, and AI pointed out, you know what? You did get these negative, what's wrong or could be better.
Yeah,
they all had, but we really liked this.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And you didn't lose attendance, which was amazing too. A 5-hour presentation and people were there from the beginning to the end. He had breakout groups, which I thought were really, really good. So
really good.
So John, what's in the evergreen space? What's next? What's the next step in that maturation?
So we're still, and by the way, we're still learning. I'm still adapting, still figuring out new directions, but we already knew, I've already got a lead on what I'm supposed to do next. The focus will now shift, and the next experience will be, and we're trying to get a date on paper for next spring for us to do this again. Only this one will be bigger, because the last one barely got advertised, and we got 400 people. So we're looking to, this is going to be a bigger experience, but it'll be the same kind of thing. We're going to take you through some basics, but in the basics, it'll be inspiration, information, and then a challenge. What are you going to do with this? Yeah. Now, and it's okay if you don't do anything with it. I told people at the end of our conference, if you don't get anything out of all that we did today, and everybody loved all the speakers, all you guys, it was all awesome. But even if none of that was taken away from here, take this away. You matter.
Yeah.
You matter. And just understanding that there's a place for you in the universe still, that changes people.
Yeah.
And we'll be there and we'll take that on. But if I can get you going right now, I'm telling you, it's just going to be so much better. And it will make you live longer. You will grow younger as you're doing this.
Is there a place where people can find some information about that?
There will be.
Okay.
So, amongst other things, I'm really good at technology. What I'm not good at is developing our own email service. And if there's anybody who's listening right now who can help me with this would be great. But I need to get that up and running so that we can start sending out information.
Can they reach you?
But yes.
What would that be? What would be that connection?
So the best way to get a hold of me is through Evergreen.CRSRDS, which is the short version of Crossroads, at gmail.com. And I'll know exactly what it's all about if you send it there.
Can you say that again?
So Evergreen.CRSRDS at gmail.com.
That's fantastic. And, I think you got something here. Obviously, this sort of fits right into our wheelhouse.
Yeah.
And again, I was just so impressed with the number of people that showed. And a lot of them in the small groups, at least in the small group that I was sort of leading, they all said, I hope this just isn't a one and done. I hope this is something that we can build upon. And then you create a community that is that. And then the other aspect is then integrating this community with other communities within the church to make then the church holistically and better, better. So thank you for sharing your story,
right,
and sharing your love for the Lord. And we're going to keep talking about this, and hopefully we'll help promote once you get some more things coming on out there. Let us know. We'll put you in there as far as a thing to check out.
So have you back for a status report.
Yeah.
Cool.
Exactly. And, if Evergreen would like to sponsor the Redirect podcast, let us know.
There you go. Yeah.
Info at redirect-u.com.
So any closing comments?
I love you guys. Seriously, I love what you're doing because it's really in alignment with what I thought I was supposed to do at church. And it's lighting up people's like, oh my gosh, really? Mm. And but you guys are actually coming up with some really great practical stuff. So I see that as being integral.
Yeah. Complementary.
Yeah, absolutely. Keep it up.
That's encouraging. Thank you.
John, thanks for joining us. Love your energy. It's contagious. And thanks for all you're doing for the cause, brother.
And thank you.
And thanks for joining us on the Redirect podcast. Big thanks to the University of Cincinnati's 1819 Innovation Hub for allowing us to use the eSports recording studio to record today's podcast. Catch up on all the Redirect podcast episodes on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. To begin your Redirect journey, head over to redirect-u.com. Want to connect with the Redirect team? Feel free to email us at info@redirect-u.com. Remember, there's purpose in your life, so find it and go do something about it.
Hey, I've got one more comment. The Redirect podcast is presented solely for educational and entertainment purposes. We engage in an open, honest conversations about personal growth, life transitions, and the lessons we've learned through our own experiences. While we speak as experts in our own lives, we are not licensed therapists, medical professionals, or certified coaches. The content shared on the Redirect podcast is not intended to be a substitute for professional advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Always seek the guidance of qualified professionals for any physical, mental, or emotional concerns that you may have. We're grateful to share this space with you and hope that our stories inspire reflection and connection. If you're in need of more support, we encourage you to connect with a trusted professional who can help.